welcome to the Glow With Me Actions tutorial. So I'm going to start by walking you through all of my actions over here. I'm going to walk through each one of them with you, kind of show you what they do, and then together we will use them on this beautiful mama and edit the photo together. So this has already been edited in ACR and put my presets on it, did my brushwork over there and brought it over, and now I just need that final polish and pop is what I like to call it. And these actions were specifically made for that, so that way when you put them on the photo, they're not overly bearing like I've noticed with some actions that I have purchased in the past. So when you first get your actions and you upload them, you're going to see this little play me. Good idea to just play it so that way you know. It just walks you through what each one is, so that way the ones that you wouldn't know what they are, there's like Harsh Light Be Gone, obviously that one's getting rid of harsh lights. The eye and mouth enhancers are pretty self-explanatory. So there's like white eyes, brown eyes, blue eyes, green/hazel eyes, eyes like jewels. I did say that this is a perfect finish to the iris. I don't normally do the whites unless the whites are like really dark. Pearly whites are for teeth. Kissable lips is obviously the lips. And then down here I have it where you can tag me and use the hashtags. That way I can see your guys' work and feature you guys. Okay, so let's start. So light polish, so I'm going to click on them for you guys, is an all over pop of color. I use light polish on everything that I do unless my photos need a little bit extra. So this is light polish, and then all the polish is a little stronger. Okay, so you can see that that really pulled more color, more highlights, and that one actually looks really good on here. It works really good on cloudy days. Okay, Topaz is a warm, full color enhancer, so it's going to warm up the entire photo. The rest of these down here are, they're all like brushes that you have to brush on yourself, but these ones are ones that you can brush off. So Topaz is warm. I will throw this on the photo so you can see. As you can see, that warmed up the photo really nicely. You could come in and, you know, if you didn't want the hat so brown, I'll show you. Make sure that your brush over here is the opposite of whatever color this mask is over here. So see how they're the same? It's not going to do anything, so you need to make that black. And you can brush off so that way that hat is still a little bit more of a gray tone. You can brush it off this so that way you're getting more of like the red instead of an orange. And then you can see back and forth. Sorry, I'm not trying to say so much. And then I do have the opacity automatically turned down on this, so I mean you could turn it up to like full blast and things can be really warm. Then my sapphire is very cool. So if your photos are really warm, this is going to cool down your photos. Most of my actions have explanations before, so that way you know this is a color enhancement for the entire photo. It will cool off your photos that are on the warmer side of the temp scale. Use your brush to brush it off of any areas you do not want it. Make sure you play with your opacity. Just hit continue on and then it'll play the rest of the action for you guys. And then so as you can see, that really toned down the warmth. You could take it down if you're like, oh, I just kind of want it to be, you know, just warm it up a little bit, and then you could come in, you know, and brush off the coolness like on her skin. So I do really like this one a lot for if I have a session that's like we're there just a little bit earlier than I would like for sessions. If it's just we're on top of a mountain and it's too bright, it works really good to pull out some of those really harsh warm colors. So emerald is a color enhancement for the entire photo. It's great for photos that have a lot of strong orange, so you'll be able to see that here. Again, make sure that you play with your opacity on it. And I love rust, and so this is why I like what it does to oranges because I like that it makes it this really pretty orange, as you can see. And then, you know, you can take it down to just have it throw in some, a little bit different oranges throughout the photo. Makes her skin like even across the board. So that's emerald. And then pearl is an overall just contrast and pops of color with a little tint. So this one I have it at 100 when you put it on. I always take it down to about 20. I do use this one on almost like all of my photos because I like the highlights that it puts in, like around the sky and in the whites and on her skin. So I always use pearl on almost all of my photos. But we're gonna take it off for now because we're not editing at the moment. So paint on the details, warm. Okay, so this is a warmer detail brush. So if your photo is already warm, this brush is really great to use because it's going to just add that little bit of warmth that, say, the bushes around you are. Okay, you could even come and put some warmth in her hat. You could put some on her skin if you wanted to. Looks really nice. And then you can see, this is what I'm talking about. If you have a photo that's already really warm, it's going to just really warm up the colors in the photo. And then paint on the details cool. This is obviously, it's the same exact thing except it's got a cooler tint to it. So you can see this is pulling and making the oranges cooler. Just show you on the hat so you can see, and that's going to make the hat more of a gray. You could bring it up to the sky, pop some more blues in there if you wanted to, you know, get rid of those oranges back there. So that's a really good tool to use with oranges. Paint on the sky. So this is a brush to enhance a photo that already has a sky. If your photo is blown out, it's not going to do anything. So it pulls the highlights, it's going to darken the blues, bring out some purples, darken those blues over there, and then I'll show you. So it really just dramatically pops the sky. Okay, and remember, you have to have a sky for it to make it pop. The Dreamy paint is gives your background a dreamier bokeh effect. Excuse me. And then you're just gonna paint on the blur. It's hard to tell because everything's white behind her, which I did on purpose so that way you guys could see the true white brush that I'm going to show you in a second. So I'll show you the before and after. It just adds I'm just going to draw on here so you guys can see what it is actually doing. So it's really going to blur out the photo. This is really great for if you just wanted to really make your subjects pop in the photo, and you can always turn down the opacity on it if it's a little too strong, say like the rest of the photo's not that blurry, and then you can always like do different layers too. So I would come up and let's just take my brush down to 10 and mask it off of her. If I'm like, oh, sorry, that's the opposite of the way I wanted to do that, 90, and then I can take it off of her just right here and just leave the rest, you know, of the photo blurry. And then you could even go down to, so say 50, and then you're like, oh, well, we don't want it so blurry behind her because she's right there. Then, you know, you can see over here that you have it white where it's very dark, black where it's off completely, gray where you just have a little bit masked on. So play around with it. It's a really good tool. I use it on a lot of my photos to really just accentuate my subjects. Paint on the sun. This one's pretty self-explanatory. If you have any like little peaks of sunlight shining through over here, you can come through and add just some more highlights to your mountains. So I love, 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 love this brush. I think this brush is one of my favorites, and it's not too strong. Some sun brushes that I have, or actions that I've purchased in the past, have been like really, really overpowering. Harsh Light Be Gone. This brush is really strong for a reason, because harsh lights are obviously very harsh. And so I have it at full opacity. Turn it down if it's too much, but see, it's going to take down your highlights a ton. Okay, and I'll show you. Let's just paint it on right here. So then you can drop it down to, say, 50%, and it's not going to be as harsh, but it is going to help get rid of some of those unwanted hot spots. Dreamy Close. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to help get rid of like too harsh of textures, which I know we like textures in our photos, but we also want the textures to be soft like the rest of our photo is. So you're just going to come and brush that on her. There we go. So the opacity on this is turned down to 25, so you can bump it up to whatever you need it to be. So about like, say you want it at 50%, and then just come through and make the texture softer, and so you still get the texture, but you also get this dreamy look to the clothes. I use this on all of my clothes, all of Mom's clothes, especially if she's wearing like a really pretty flowy dress. The True White paint, if you're like me, I'm very anal about whites in my photos, and I want them to be a true white. I don't want them to have any blues or purples, and I purposely left this more blue so that way you guys could see, because snow always has a tendency to pull blue, especially when your sky is blue, because it's reflecting the sky. So as you can see, this just made my snow such a beautiful, bright, true white. I love it. Love, 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 love that brush. I use it on white clothes, if, white blankets, snow, clouds. Greens, obviously, as getting rid of greens. It's strong. So it's going to pull out any colors in there, and then you could drop it down, to 20. I don't have any green in this photo, that's why it's pulling that funky color. Goodbye Reds. It's going to pull out any reds, which this is really good for people if they have like super like rosacea or anything like that, and then you can always drop down the opacity so that way it's not as strong. Tack Sharp, pretty obvious by the name. It's just going to sharpen your photos wherever you want to sharpen it. So you can sharpen the eyes. I usually always sharpen the eyes and the mouth, and then if someone is out of focus, I will run it over their whole body, and it usually does a pretty good job, and no one will pay attention unless they're like really zoomed in with it. So white eyes, pretty self-explanatory. Put it on the whites of the eyes. Brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, eyes like jewels, pearly whites, that's for teeth. Kissable lips, that gives a beautiful neutral color to the lips if they need it. Leave the Cream is the softest skin brush. Medium is the one I usually my go-to. Whipped I usually use for boudoirs, warm the skin up, cool the skin down, and make that skin glow. So we are going to edit this photo together. So let's start with, I'm actually going to use all the polish because it was such a cloudy day. So I'll show you before and after. And pro tip here, always flatten your photos in between each of your actions. Okay, we're going to drop that and I'll just show you. I just see how it pulls the browns, the oranges down a little bit, but gives a beautiful like pop of color to her skin. I always use Pearl. And then we're going to paint on the warmth. Come back here, just get these little pieces of like grass. I might even too strong there, but it looks good on her belly right there where it was shaded. Okay, and then we're gonna flatten that. We're going to paint on the sky. I am going to take the opacity down just a little bit on that and flatten the photo. I'm going to do the dream close. We're going to bring that opacity up. If you need it stronger, paint on the softness of her little cover up here. Okay, flatten that. True white paint for the snow. We're going to come back in here. Okay, just show you before and after. Brightens up that background really good, gets rid of all the blues. We're going to flatten that. Then we're going to come down to whiten her eyes. So we're going to zoom in here. All her cute little freckles. We're going to put these on just the whites of her eyes. Okay, I'll back up for you guys so you can see. Okay, just makes a true white to her eyes there. And then we are going to, so she has these really pretty brown eyes. So we're going to come here to the brown eyes. We're going to put this on her iris just to pull those browns out. Okay, show you before, after. It's so good. We're going to flatten again. You're going to do eyes like jewels. And I am, so we'll see, I am going to put this on her whites over here because of how dark her eye was over there. But you can see how much like color and pop that adds to the brown in her eyes. The eyes like jewels are my favorite, but I'm not, I'll show you why. See how bright it is where there is light. So only on the eyes that need it. That's still a little strong, so make sure you guys come back because it's harder to tell. There we go, I like the 25, perfect. When you're up close, if the eye color is going to be like too bright, it's easier to tell from a distance. Let's come back in here. And we are going to do her teeth, which her teeth are already super white, which is one thing that I do love about these brushes is that they're not, if the teeth are too white, it's really just going to fix what is in there that needs to be whitened. So it's not going to make any teeth that are already white, like too white. Okay, we're gonna flatten that. We're gonna do so I can show you the kissable lip here. And I will go through and get these little hairs in a minute for anyone else that's driving crazy. Come in here. Try and get as close to the lip line as you can, just like regular lipstick. Okay, and then we're gonna back out. And we're going to take the opacity down on that to probably about 50, and let's see that. Maybe even a little bit more. Her lips were already very pink because it was cold. Perfect. I like that. So take that down to 25. Then we're going to flatten. We're going to smooth like butter. So even though I use portraiture on all my photos, I still always use one of my smoothing brushes because it just gives the skin a true color all over. It really evens out all the skin tone. Okay, and I love this brush especially for people who have freckles because it's not so strong that it's going to hide all those beautiful freckles. Okay. And really simple. If you get it on the eyes, like, oh, that looks so bad, just brush it off. Change your brush and brush it off. Okay. Go out so far. Okay. So just show you before and after. See, so just really evens out that skin tone. So we're gonna flatten that. And that's it. That's all I would do to this photo. But as you can see, let me open up another one for you that is without the actions, and you can just see the pop of color that it really does add to the photo. Sorry, computer decided to run super slow. So you can see how much pop that adds to the photo. Photo was still really pretty, but a little dull. And then lots of color, lots of brightness. Her skin looks beautiful. And so once I'm finished with my actions, then I would run it through portraiture and save it and get it posted. So if you guys have any questions about the actions or you're confused about anything, let me know.